Hey everyone, Gerry Brown here today with episode number 2 of the Grandmaster, Mr. Brian Kilgore, on the Groove Don't Lie podcast. Listen to this.
I always talk about when I give clinics or master classes at a college or whatever. I like to talk about the Hippocratic oath of groove, which is, first of all, do no harm. If you can't make it better, don't just clutter it up. Don't, if it doesn't need anything, don't do anything. If you can add something and make it better, then by all means do so.
By the way, I hope this brings a smile to your face. So I've come across some Tina Marie, and I'll play it when I'm doing some exercises, and I seem to listen to Square Biz, and I hear the percussion going on behind us.
Yeah,
I bet that's Brian.
No,
that's not.
That was before I started working with her.
Okay.
That was Paulinho DaCosta.
That was Paulinho,
who, of course, is a great master and huge inspiration to me. The first record I did with her was a record called Emerald City.
Okay.
And after doing, the first tour I did with her was like 4 months, or about 4 months long, and we got to know each other, and I was playing, congas. I did Afro-Cuban stuff. I did Brazilians. I did, and of course, just R&B, whatever works. I played bata on some stuff. So then she knew I was into all these rhythms from around the world. So she wrote a song on Emerald City that had no drums. It was just percussion. And she wrote it for me, basically. She said it was called Batucada Suite. I said, do you know what batucada is? And she said, it means rhythm, right? I said, no, it's a particular rhythm from Brazil that they do at carnival time. And so we have to do it as a batucada. So we did that live in the studio, including her vocal, with me and Paulinho. First time I'd ever worked with Paulinho, who's, like I say, it was and is still a big inspiration to me. Abe Laboriel, Branford Marsalis, and John Bukowski on keys, all live in the studio, which is, for records, especially at that time, a lot of, everything's overdubbed, and this is all of us in a room tracking together, which was awesome. On Paulinho's first record, there's it was on Pablo Records, called Agora, the record. There was a rhythm he had recorded with 3 congas. He recorded each one independently as an independent track, overdubbing. I didn't know that he was playing them separately, so I figured out, when I studied his records and listened to him, I figured out how to play this 3-drum part all at the same time. So as we're warming up for the batucada session, I have some congas there, and I'm just playing these 3 parts, and he looks over at me like, how are you doing that? Because I didn't know he had recorded them all. I kind of had a feeling, but I wanted to be able to play all 3 parts at the same time. So, he's such a beautiful cat. He said, okay, for my next record, I'm doing a groove just for you, So, and, beautiful. I've learned so much by listening to him and watching him. I haven't done a ton together over the years, but we did, he and I, on the movie Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, whichever one that one was. I led the percussion on a session for for one scene, and it was two marimbas, me and Paulinho on hand percussion, four orchestral percussionists that I like gave parts to show them what to play on each part, and Pedro Estache, I think, on some Peruvian flutes, and I think there were might have been two trumpets too, but we got to play on that. And I mean, once again, that was the first time I'd ever worked with John Williams. There was no information about what to do. I had a feel. I mean, there was a little bit of indication that it was going to be that it takes place in Peru, so I knew that much. So I thought, okay, I'll send the Peruvian stuff, instruments that I have, as well as some other things, because you have to have. It was kind of open ended. So we start the session. We walk in. John walks in, says, "Good morning, everybody." I had asked before when I got to the studio, okay, so what's happening in this session? Somebody said, "Oh, takes place in the Peruvian marketplace." So I talked to Paulinho. I said, I think I'm going to play this Peruvian cajon. What would you like to play? Is there anything that, well, bongos will go well with this? And it did, because that's a higher frequency drum. And I was doing some, the Peruvian cajon. John Williams walks in the room, like, no discussion really, just, "Good morning, everybody. How we doing? All right, let's go." And let's play it down one time. And he'd say, "Okay, well, this is okay. I like this. Let's change that. Let's open up this section for, Cajon can do a solo on this. We'll make it 16 bars here." No indication really of, what how it was gonna be mixed really. When the movie came out and they released the soundtrack, he had the Cajon cranked in the mix. So I thought, well, that's a good sign he liked it. So, and then I worked with Paulinho on Secret Life of Pets 2. We had me and Alex and Paulinho did some hand percussion together. Luis Conte was also on that.
Mhm.
Um, so, most of uh, Paulinho's work is just him as a soloist going and playing on records and stuff. But what an amazing musician. And it's always a, you know, beautiful experience working with him or any of these other people I've mentioned.
The Cats.
Yeah.
So, gotta ask you this. So, does your cartage company or do you have any notes or emails saved from when you knew that you had a date coming up and what you may
Hmm.
have needed?
I do my best to keep track of that, because what happens a lot is they'll do the bulk of the music for a movie, and music's like one of the last things, if not the last thing done for a movie. So, but then often there is a month later or 2 months later, sometimes 6 months later, they do the last little scraps. There's been changes in what the director wants out of the music, so they have 95% of it done, but they need to do this last five, a few little bit more music just to tailor it to new edits and cuts of the film. So when we go back to do those short, smaller sessions at the very end, I can look back. I have, on my computer a list of what I send, a diagram of how I lay out. If it's an orchestral section, I always have to, do a diagram of how I set up the section, because, um, if say a score has two instruments that are used a lot as a theme, like say glockenspiel and crotales, if they're unison or interacting together, I will put them left and right in within the stereo field of the section. So that's going to be a more interesting sound for the engineers to mix too, because it's everything's not over on one side. So that's all, all these things. By having my own studio and recording my own music, I've learned, like, how to help engineers do their job. Um, and that's another reason why I work as much as I do, because I always feel like my job is to do my job, but another component of my job is to make other people's job easier. So they're not having to fix things. I want to help them, everybody do their job. And when you do that with people on a team, they like working with you.
The mindful maestro.
It makes a difference.
And the reason why I asked about that, you know, if you still have those lists, because I would think that in your book or books,
hmm hmm
I mean, that's priceless, man.
Yeah, you have to be very, very organized. In addition to being proficient musically, you have to be organized because there is so much money on the line when, these sessions are being done. If there's 80 musicians in a room and you're the one that's slowing things down, that's a problem.
And you would, and I don't know if you would get a side eye, but it, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also, like at the cartage company, I have a huge, collection. That's where I keep my instruments. But I have in my iPhone a database of what is in what is in each case. If I need to find an instrument, I can type that instrument in and it'll say, oh, that's drawer number 3 of case 41 or whatever. So, I mean, I, of course, also know where things are, but I can always look it up if I don't remember, and that's the way it has to be. Because of that, though, like drummers get to have the cartage guys or your roadies or techs set up your instrument. They don't set my stuff up. They'll move the cases into the room, maybe set up a few things, but when it comes to all the little stuff, I pull it out and then I put it away, because if I let somebody else put it away, if it's in the wrong drawer, let alone the wrong case, then you know, that's not good. So I need to know where everything is all the time.
Whoever is listening to this, be organized
Yeah. Yeah.
because you make someone else's job easier. You make
That's right. Yeah.
it goes across.
When
It's
we did Haunted Mansion, which was a Disney film a couple years ago, Chris Bowers, great composer. For the percussion, we had to get the whole score done in one day. We had 90 pieces of music to record.
whoa,
I went in, and this was orchestral percussion. Um, but I had organized who's going to play what. Each player, when they walked in, had my printout. Yeah, I had sent it to them, via email, but I also brought physical copies. They knew what instruments they needed at their station. They knew what they were going to play on every cue. So once we're set up and ready to go, we could just
bam,
plow.
bam, 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 bam.
And we did 90 pieces of music in one day, and that the only reason why that happened is because I was organized, and everybody knew what to do when we walked in.
Incredible, man.
So
Uh,
every day with film, every session is its own thing, radically different. We So it keeps it interesting. It's a challenge.
and I don't know if maestro would be, I mean, a grand maestro or the coach.
All of the above.
All of the above, man.
And the player.
And the
And the
player and the coach, player, coach, maestro. Yeah,
yeah.
that's Mr. Kilgore. Yes, Mr. Kilgore. So, Brian, one of the last questions, and I need to bring up, uh, from Black Panther and the most recent gem, from Michael B. Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that you did some incredible, there, Brian Kilgore sound effects.
On on
Yes,
on Sinners,
on
you're talking
centers,
about?
on centers.
Yeah,
No, you can't. No, you can't find that on the internet. No, no, no,
yeah.
no, 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 no.
I'm very proud of that one. And Ludwig Göransson is brilliant. And there's a scene in that movie talking about ancestors that illustrates beautifully how every note that we play is informed by every note that we've ever heard, everybody that we've ever talked to, any performance we've ever heard, any experience we've ever had, and any note that the player, anybody that we've listened to for inspiration, anybody that they've listened to for inspiration, that all gets soaked through us and comes out in music. And that's the beautiful thing about it. And that there's a scene in that movie that illustrates that in a such a beautiful way. It's really an amazing movie for any musician to see, and you feel the history.
The
Of
ancestors are right there.
That's right, and then it makes you yourself realize when my when I play, the ancestors are there, and it's just amazing. There's one of the things that I did. They wanted a drum that sounded kind of ominous. I won't spoil anything for people that haven't seen the movie, but there are some ominous moments, and I put a kind of a little rattle on a drum, a surdo that I had, and I have ways of changing the sound, which, as in studio work, you have to be able to do. If they say make this darker, brighter, longer, shorter, or whatever, you have to learn to quickly do that. And I put a shaker or a rattle on this drum, and it added the perfect element of ominousness in this drum. And anytime you hear this one drum come up in that score, you know things are not going well. But yeah, that's a beautiful, really an incredible movie, and almost my favorite scene in the history of film is that one scene I was speaking about. You know, it's pretty amazing,
Wow.
and we're all connected, and it shows that in a beautiful, really beautiful way. Percussion is lucky that way. We're lucky that way. I think we get to feel it a little more directly than some musicians and some genres, because we are, especially with world percussion, we're studying things, sources from cultures all around the world.
From the ancestors.
Yep. Yeah.
And to bring that authenticity
Mm-hmm.
to this moment, that right now,
Yep.
and that you're able to,
Filtered through your own heart and soul, you know, all of the above, including yourself.
it's, man,
Yeah.
what a process.
Yeah. I feel very, very fortunate that I get to do this kind of stuff for a living. And because I love these studying different cultures, the fact that I get to use that knowledge in a way, sometimes to bring authenticity, sometimes to mix it up in an intentional way that makes, often they want something to sound like it's from another culture, but not an identifiable culture. So you use the vocabulary that you've learned from all these other cultures and come up with something new. And that's a really fun thing to do with percussion too.
So, Brian, is there any words of wisdom that you would want to say right now about this, not only about what you do, but the field and being in those now moments
Mm-hmm.
and to know how important it is to know the vocabulary, know the
Mm-hmm.
history.
My advice to any young musician would be to listen and learn and work hard at it. Never stop learning. It's a really tough business to break into and make a living, but it's not impossible. And you just have to work hard. And then the other thing that many young musicians takes all of us a bit of time to learn, and that is your greatest superpower is being yourself and allowing yourself to bring what you have to the table and have confidence that that is when you do your best job, is when you trust your own instincts.
Spoken like maybe you should be, I don't know, groove alchemist.
Uh, I'm like I say, I still learn everything I can with any musician that I'm playing with. Like there's always more to learn. So never stops.
Brian, man, hey, I love what you do, man.
Thank you so much.
I love you as a person. You're incredible. I mean, it touches me, man.
Thank you. Well, that means a lot to me to hear you say that.
I mean,
We've been able to work together a few times, not always in real time, sometimes,
sometimes.
and it's always a joy. You know.
Brian, thank you, man.
Thanks for having me.
And to the missus, my blessings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Brian Kilgore, this has been such a rich look at the craft, the listening, and the versatility behind a career like yours. We are truly grateful for your appearance on the Groove Don't Lie podcast. We thank you, and at any time, open invitation, sir. Thank you, Brian Kilgore, for the Groove Don't Lie podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Till the next time, keep that groove alive